In the Hall of Dinosaurs, at 2:34 in the morning, the only sound was the soft swish of a wet mop on polished marble until something clicked. A dry, hollow click. Bone on bone.
Don't turn around. That's Rule 6.
Her fingers tightened on the wooden handle, knuckles pressing white through the blue nitrile glove. She did not look. She pushed the mop forward and finished the row, each step measured, her gaze locked on the floor. Only when the tile was dry did she wheel the yellow bucket out of the hall, the rubber wheels squeaking in the dark.
15 years. She'd learned the hard way. Some things in this museum don't stay still.
The exhibits are not as fixed as the placards suggest. Every night, janitor who lasted more than a week knew it. There were other rules too, 6 of them, drilled into every new hire after sundown, rules that kept you alive or employed. Deborah had followed them all. Tonight was no different. In the fall of 2008, a younger Deborah stood in the same rotunda, clutching a folded orientation booklet. The first page was a handwritten list. Rule 1 had been underlined twice. Never clean the Hope Diamond case between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m.
What kind of rule is that? It's a display case.
The trainer, a gray-haired woman who had cleaned these halls for decades, tapped the line with a cracked fingernail. She didn't explain. She simply said, "Because if you do, you won't finish your shift." Deborah wrote the rule in her own notebook, the pen pressing hard into the page. Later that night, she found the Hope Diamond gallery. The gem glowed blue in the dark like a living thing. She checked her watch. 10:45 p.m. safe. But the trainer's words sat cold in her stomach. Over the following weeks, she would learn the other 5 rules. But that first one never left her. 15 years later, Deborah still checked the clock every time she passed that glowing blue case. The trainer turned the page to Rule 2. The mummies are inventoried daily. If a sarcophagus is open at 4 a.m., close it gently.
Close it gently, as if something inside might wake up.
The trainer's voice didn't waver. She said the museum staff knew the count, and if one was open, you didn't ask questions. Deborah wrote the rule on a fresh page, her handwriting neat, but her thoughts scattered. The third rule was shorter. Do not enter the Easter Island wing on the autumnal equinox.
Why that night? What happens?
The trainer snapped the booklet shut. The statues walk, she said flatly, then moved on before Deborah could press further.
She thinks I'm a fool, or she's warning me. Maybe both.
By the end of her first week, 3 of the 6 rules were branded into her memory. The others would leave deeper scars, but for now, she only knew that the museum kept secrets, and the night shift was their keeper. The trainer turned to a page labeled Rule 4. The pre-Columbian artifacts. They speak among themselves, she said. You will hear whispers. Do not transcribe.
Why would I write down whispers? That makes no sense.
The trainer didn't explain. She simply pointed to the next line. Rule 5. Vault 7 is sealed. Do not knock back if someone knocks from inside.
What's inside? What would knock?
When Deborah opened her mouth, the trainer cut her off. You don't want to know. The last rule was familiar. The dinosaur skeletons are not as fixed in position as the placards suggest.
I already believed that. Tonight proved it.
The trainer closed the booklet. Follow these, and you'll survive. Ignore them, and you won't last the month. Deborah clipped her ID badge to her coveralls and walked into the dark, cavernous rotunda, the 6 rules burning in her mind. By 2011, the rules were no longer abstract. They sat in her bones. One night, she lost track of time and stepped into the Hope Diamond Gallery at precisely 2:15 a.m.
Number. This is wrong. I need to leave before something sees me.
But before she could turn, a ripple of darkness moved inside the case. A shape, human-like but wrong, shifted behind the stone, then was gone. The mop clattered to the floor. She didn't pick it up. She backed away, then turned and ran, the bucket's wheels screeching behind her. She didn't stop until she was in the rotunda, under the elephant's shadow, gasping.
Rule 1. Never again. Never.
She finished the rest of her shift in the dinosaur hall, far from the diamond, but every bone click made her flinch. After that, the rule was no longer a warning. It was a line she would never cross again. 2 years later, a rookie night guard's scream cut through the Egyptian wing at 4:02 a.m. Deborah found him, backed against a wall, pointing, his flashlight shaking on the open sarcophagus.
Rule 2. Close it gently. Don't ask questions.
She walked to the sarcophagus, ignoring the guard's stammered protests, and set her hands on the cool stone. As she pushed, a whisper floated out, words she couldn't understand, but the tone was soft, almost grateful.
It's nothing. Go back to your post.
The guard didn't move. His face was pale as the limestone. She slid the lid shut until the seal met stone with a soft thud, and the whispers died. The next morning, a resignation letter was waiting on the supervisor's desk. Deborah wasn't surprised. Rule 2 kept the mummy's content, and it kept the curious staff at a safe distance. On the autumnal equinox, Deborah wheeled her bucket toward the Easter Island wing, then stopped cold. Out of the corner of her eye, the shadows on the wall stretched longer than the statues could cast.
Rule 3. Don't even look directly. Turn around.
She fixed her gaze on the floor and backed away, the mop bucket's wheels silent on the polished stone. Behind her, a dry rustle passed through the wing, though no windows were open.
Something is walking in there. Something that shouldn't be.
She took the long route to the geology corridor, sweat beading on her neck despite the cool air. The detour added 20 minutes to her shift, but she never glanced back. The next morning, a day guard mentioned a strange pile of leaves in the middle of the wing. Deborah said nothing. Rule 3 was not superstition. The statues did walk, and she intended to stay out of their path. Weeks later, while dusting the pre-Columbian gold, a soft murmur brushed against Deborah's ears. Two voices, high and brittle, wove back and forth in a language no living tongue had spoken for centuries.
Rule 4. You hear them. You walk away. You never write it down.
Her hand drifted toward the pen in her pocket, an old habit from years of logging inventory, but she froze. In the case, a clay figurine's mouth gaped open, as if mid-chant, though the sound came from everywhere at once.
Don't even look directly. Finish the case and move on.
She forced her gaze down and polished the glass, but the whispering pressed against her skull like a second heartbeat. When she finally straightened, the figurine was still, its mouth closed as if it had never moved. She left the wing without writing a single word, her heart hammering against her ribs. Rule 4 was clear. The artifacts spoke to each other, and the worst thing anyone could do was listen too closely. The night after that bone click, Deborah returned to the dinosaur hall and found the Camarasaurus tail, curled 2 feet to the left.
Rule 6. They move during the dead hours. You don't turn around, and you don't touch them.
The floor was bare around the old footprint. Something had dragged the bones, slowly, deliberately.
Did anyone notice this morning? Or is this just for the night crew?
She mopped a wide circle around the displaced bones, leaving no trace of disturbance, as she had been taught. At dawn, as she wheeled her bucket toward the exit, a figure in a lab coat stopped beside the Camarasaurus. The curator, a thin man with half-moon glasses, glanced once at the tail, sighed, and pushed it back into alignment.
He knows. He's known all along, and he never says a word.
The curator didn't acknowledge her. He simply checked the placard and walked away, his footsteps soft. Rule 6 wasn't just a warning. It was a quiet, unspoken pact between all who kept the museum after dark. Driven by a persistent itch, Deborah spent her break that night in the basement records room, flashlight sweeping over dusty shelves. She pulled a thick folder labeled Janitorial Staff 1960 to 1970. Inside were timesheets, disciplinary notes, but no mention of the 6 rules. File after file revealed nothing. No official orientation binder, no memos, just the names of forgotten workers.
They exist only in memory, passed from one night janitor to the next like a secret handshake.
Defeated, She slid the last folder back and headed for the supply closet, craving the familiar routine of her mop. But as she turned the corner into the cleaning supply closet, her light caught a cardboard box on the floor, tucked behind a stack of spare mops. The label was faded, but legible. Night shift. Do not discard.
That handwriting. It's older than my trainer, who left this here.
The box was sealed with brittle tape. Something shifted inside when she nudged it. A dry, papery sound.
Not tonight. I'll come back when my shift is over. Maybe then I'll have answers.
At the end of her shift, Deborah returned to the storage closet and tore open the brittle tape on the old box. Inside, wrapped in a faded cloth, lay a leather-bound logbook, its spine cracked with age. On the cover, in careful cursive, property of Patricia Washburn, night janitor, 1962.
Patricia. That name was at the top of the old personnel file. She was here 60 years ago.
With trembling fingers, she opened to the first page. The 6 rules were listed in exquisite handwriting. Rule 1. Never clean the Hope Diamond case between 2 o'clock and 3 a.m. Word for word, identical to her own orientation.
She wrote these rules decades before my trainer was born. How is that possible?
Pressed between the pages was a black and white photograph of a woman in a janitorial uniform, her smile soft and knowing. The uniform was almost identical to Deborah's own. Same dark coveralls, same sturdy shoes, same expression of quiet duty.
This isn't just a job, it's a lineage. Patricia passed these rules down, and now they're mine.
Deborah turned the page. The next entry was dated April 1963, and it described a cold spot in the Hope Diamond Gallery that made Patricia's breath fog. I felt something brush past me, like fingers of ice, and the gem seemed darker, as if it had swallowed the light.
That same chill. I thought it was just my fear. Patricia felt it too. Exactly the same.
She flipped ahead. Another entry described a mummy's chest rising and falling under the linen, a soft breath stirring the dust. I closed the lid as gently as I could. It felt like tucking in a child. The breathing stopped when the seal was tight.
That's exactly what I did. The same ritual. She heard it breathing, just like I heard the whispers.
Then came an entry on the pre-Columbian hall, the artifacts speaking in a language that hurt to hear. I nearly wrote down the words. My pen touched the paper before I remembered the rule. Never transcribe. Deborah's hands trembled. The logbook was not just a guide, it was a mirror. Every strange night she had lived, Patricia had lived first.
She was exactly where I am now, following the same rules, seeing the same things. And then, what happened to her?
Deborah turned to the last page that held writing. The ink was darker, the hand more urgent. I am passing this notebook to whoever cleans this hall next. The exhibits remember the people who care for them. After enough years, they start moving for you. Some night you will hear knocking from Vault 7. The voice will know your name. It is not the museum's voice. It is the voice of the previous janitor. They never leave. They just clean a different shift.
The voice will be Patricia, and someday it will call for me.
She looked up from the logbook, toward the basement corridor where Vault 7 waited. The green glow under the door seemed to pulse once, as if acknowledging her attention. Deborah closed the logbook gently. Her name would be the next entry. She was sure of it.
I'll be ready. When the knocking comes, I'll know what to say, and what not to say.
3 nights later, while Deborah mopped the geology corridor, a faint, rhythmic sound echoed up from the basement stairs. Tap, tap, tap. 3 knocks, spaced like a heartbeat.
That's from Vault 7. It's starting.
She set the mop against the wall and walked toward the basement corridor, her footsteps unnaturally loud in the silence.
Rule 5. Do not knock back. No matter what, don't knock back.
She stopped 10 feet from the door, her hand rising involuntarily to cover her mouth. The knocks came again. 3 soft, deliberate beats on the other side of the metal.
Patricia is on the other side. She's testing me. I can't respond. Not yet.
Slowly, she backed away. One step, then another, until the green glow was just a memory in the dark.
It's not time. When she calls my name, I'll answer. But not a knock. Never a knock.
The next evening, Deborah sat in the empty break room and stared at a blank sheet of paper.
I could write the letter. Walk away. Never hear that knocking again.
Her gaze drifted to the yellow mop bucket standing in the corner. Patient, familiar, waiting.
That bucket has been with me through every strange hour. It's seen the same things I have, and the rules. They're not just rules. They're the only reason this museum stays peaceful.
She picked up the pen, wrote 2 words, then set it down. She tore the page in half, then into quarters, and dropped the pieces into the trash.
I've cleaned these halls for 15 years. I won't abandon them now.
She stood, straightened her coveralls, and walked into the dark hallway. The museum was waiting.
When Patricia calls me, I'll answer. But I'll never knock back. That's the bargain.
That night, Deborah returned to the storage closet and opened the logbook to the first blank page after Patricia's final entry. She uncapped a pen and, in careful letters, wrote her name and the date beneath Patricia's last line. Then she added, "I will keep the 6 rules. I will not knock back. The museum remembers." The ink glistened for a moment before drying, as if the words themselves were sealing a pact.
Now the logbook holds 3 generations. Patricia, the trainer who taught me, and now me.
She slipped the photograph of Patricia back between the pages and closed the cover with a gentle finality. Then she placed the logbook back on the dusty shelf beside the old box, waiting for the next night. Janitor.
Someday, someone will find this and read my words. They'll know they're not alone.
She shut off her flashlight and left the closet, the logbook, now a silent sentinel among the cleaning supplies.
I am ready. Whenever Patricia calls my name, I'll answer, but I will never knock back.
3 nights after inscribing the logbook, Deborah heard the knocking again while restocking spray bottles in the supply room. 5 knocks this time, loud, deliberate, each one rattling the metal door in its frame.
It's stronger tonight. She's testing my resolve. Still no voice, but the knocking is impatient.
She walked down the basement stairs, each step echoing, until the glowing door filled the end of the corridor. The emerald light pulsed like a heartbeat, brighter with each pulse, casting wild shadows on the walls.
Not yet. I hear you, but I won't answer tonight.
The knocking ceased. Only the hum of the building and the faint, steady glow remained.
She knows I am here. When she's ready to speak my name, I'll be ready too.
She turned her back on the door and walked back toward the rotunda, her footsteps steady.
The next time, she'll call my name, and I'll give her the only answer a night janitor ever should.
In the rotunda, at 3:05 a.m., Deborah pushed her mop in slow arcs over the marble, the elephant specimen standing sentinel overhead. 3 slow knocks rolled up from the basement, heavy, deliberate, each one a heartbeat in the silence. Then a voice, an older woman's voice, warm but resonant, called from the corridor. Deborah.
That's her, Patricia. She knows my name.
The voice came again, closer this time, as if the door itself had lips. Deborah, I know you are there.
Rule 5, do not knock back. But she's asking for me, not a knock this time.
She forced her hand down from her mouth and faced the darkened corridor.
Not a knock. Patricia wrote the same rules. She'll understand the right answer.
The emerald light pulsed, waiting. The voice did not call again, but the air hummed with expectation.
I know the words. I'll speak them, and I won't knock back. I hear you, Patricia. I'll keep the museum clean.
The words hung in the air for a single heartbeat. Then the emerald light from Vault 7 flared like a silent explosion. Green swept over her. Through her, a wave of cold warmth that smelled of floor wax and lavender. Then silence. The knocking stopped. The voice was gone.
She accepted me. I am part of the lineage now.
The blinding flare dimmed, leaving a gentle, steady pulse beneath the metal door, a heartbeat in emerald.
Not a threat, a bond. She'll still be here, cleaning a different shift, just like she wrote.
Deborah leaned the mop against the wall and pressed her palm to the cold, glowing door.
Good night, Patricia. The museum remembers you.
The light pulsed once more, a gentle acknowledgement, then receded to a soft, constant glow. As she walked back to the rotunda, a cold breeze brushed past her, carrying the scent of old floor wax and lavender. It was a scent she now knew, Patricia's signature, lingering like a quiet hello.
She's here. Not a threat, just a companion on a different shift.
A gentle presence settled beside her, invisible but warm, like another janitor working the same floor. Deborah picked up her mop and pushed it forward, the water rippling in the bucket. In the reflection of the polished marble, two silhouettes seemed to move. One hers, the other fainter, in a vintage uniform. She didn't look directly. She just smiled and kept mopping, the rhythm of the work quiet prayer. The elephant specimen watched from its platform, silent witness to the night's covenant.
I'll keep the museum clean, and when my shift ends, I'll still be here.
The rules had held, and so had she. Deborah pushed her cart down the basement corridor one final time. The wheels humming on the concrete, she paused at the Vault 7 door, its emerald glow a steady, soft heartbeat in the dim light.
Good night, Patricia. See you tomorrow.
The green light pulsed once, a quiet acknowledgement, then settled back to its gentle rhythm. She wheeled the bucket toward the staff exit, the museum's vast silence stretching behind her. Outside, dawn broke over the Smithsonian, pale gold washing the neoclassical columns. Inside the rotunda, the elephant specimen stood guard, the polished floor reflecting the soft morning light. The green glow had faded, but the memory of it hummed in the marble veins. A tiny Virginia creeper, emerald and luminous, had sprouted from a crack near Vault 7.
I'll be back tonight. The museum remembers.
The rotunda was quiet now, the morning light painting the marble in shades of honey. A faint image shimmered near the elephant's platform, a woman in a 1960s janitorial uniform, mopping with a gentle smile. Patricia didn't look up. She just kept working, as she had for 60 years. Then, like a ripple in still water, she faded. First the uniform, then the smile, until only the empty floor remained. But her presence lingered, woven into the shadows and the quiet hum of the building. The 6 rules had been written long ago, but they were alive, passed from hand to hand, shift to shift. In the basement, the Virginia creeper had spread, its emerald leaves glowing softly by the sealed door. Somewhere in a storage closet, a logbook waited, Deborah's name now part of its history. The rules remain, the museum remembers, and somewhere, on a different shift, Patricia still mops.